wife told me to stop because she thinks it's dangerous. But anyways, I'm an artist. I have worked across many fields within art. I'm what you call a generalist, meaning I do a little bit of everything, jack of all trades, if you will, from storyboard and concept design to full CG animation, rendering, lighting, all that good stuff. So due to my ability to basically jump across art genres, I've been fortunate enough to work in a variety of fields on many things that interest me. Because I'm a big geek at heart, so I just want to work on the stuff that I like. You know, so a lot of people collect props and autographs. I like to collect crew jackets, is what I say. I like to go like, oh, I worked on that. I got that crew. So I have a closet full of jackets. So some highlights. You might know I've been a senior artist for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, as well as Star Wars and MCU, various projects. Obi-Wan, Rise of Skywalker, and Mandalorian Season 1. And I think while I was at ILM, I also worked on a movie called Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Prior to that, I also worked at Activision Blizzard. I worked on also a game called League of Legends. I was an artist for cinematics for League of Legends Odyssey and Destiny 2. I did cinematics for Destiny 2. Let's see, TV shows. As far as TV shows, yeah, you might recognize Love, Death, and Robots, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and others I can't remember off the top of my head. But that being said, I usually open immediately to Q&A to fill the whole hour, you know, and anybody can talk about whatever they want to talk about, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. So yes, this is great.
Black Ops 3 is probably my favorite game.
Awesome.
What was your experience working on it?
I had a blast. It wasn't my first Call of Duty game I worked on because prior to working on Call of Duty, I was actually in the military. I was in the Marine Corps. And my first exposure to working with that team was them coming to my base and doing motion capture with us for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare. So it was a really interesting process because during the interview process on the paperwork, it does say like, you know, in the interview process in person too, they asked like, have you worked on a Call of Duty game prior to this? And I was able to go, yeah, I did. Like, what did you do? Like, motion capture. And they were a little confused, like, what do you mean? Like, you're applying as an artist? And I had to explain, like, no, I was in the military, and like that's my unit in the credits at the end of the credits for the first Modern Warfare. Like that's 514, that's me. And they're like, oh, that's cool. So I brought my uniforms in to scan and like use as reference and all that. And there's a funny story with that. I'm on the spectrum, so you know, forgive my weirdness. And I should have known that this was weird, but my first day of work after orientation, showing up, they said, you can bring in stuff for reference. I brought my full military backpack with like a prop rifle sitting in it and everything. And I'm like, yeah, my first day at work. And I'm in front of the studio taking a selfie, and all of a sudden the door opens, there's security guards there. They're like, I'm like, what happened? They're like, we got a call that there was a guy with a military backpack and what looks like rifles and stuff taking a selfie in front of the Call of Duty building, you know. We've had some crazy fans, and the guy that hired me had to run and go, no, he works here. Like, we just hired him. I'm like, what a great first day. This is wonderful. Like, I made a hell of an impression. Like, yeah, well, they remembered me, so. So yes, it was a great experience. I worked on some levels because my job there was I was working on some DLC, and it was to remake some levels from the older games to update them for, you know, the modern system. And I did like a movie theater environment. I'm sorry, I don't know too much of the multiplayer side because I suck at online games, and I didn't pay $59.99 to get mangled and embarrassed by a 12-year-old in 4K. So yeah, it's a movie theater. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, and then there's like a rundown hospital area. I had to make like hospital beds and like doors, and then there was one that's like a cowboyish town with a clock hanging with ropes wrapped around it. And then one other, and this is sad because I was working on The Walking Dead, and I got sick of making zombies, and then so, you know, I left and I joined another team, and I was working on the Orville for a while, and then they said, oh, we were putting on a new project. Oh, what is it? It's Fear the Walking Dead. Like, oh, okay, bye. So I was excited to work in Call of Duty, and after all the environment stuff, and they're like, "We got a new assignment for you. Like, what do you do? You're gonna make zombies." And I'm like, "Cool." Bye. So that was the end of my tenure there. But then I went on to go work on MacGyver, which I didn't even know was brought back yet. But an interesting fact about MacGyver is there's one shot where I got assigned, and it was basically footage of like an empty shelf, an empty metal shelf in like a garage or warehouse. And like, why do we have footage of an empty shelf? They're like, oh, they didn't figure out what he was gonna use yet when they were filming this. So you're gonna make like a saran wrap machine, a hammer, a ruler, blah, 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 and you're gonna put it on this shelf. And I'm like, it would have been cheaper just to get the stuff. But, I mean, it's a hammer. But, movie magic. So, I went on a wild tangent there off of Call of Duty. So, hopefully someone else has other questions that can fill. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Use the low poly stuff from the old game as like a reference point for scale and dimensions, and I just built on top of that.
Like in Blender or Maya or?
I work in 3D Studio Max personally. I'm actually doing the same thing right now for a game that's not out yet, Half-Life 2 RTX Remix. So I'm working on that right now. I didn't mention, I'm now working on a cartoon show. So I work in cartoons now. I work on a show called Invincible on Amazon Prime. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm a designer on the show. Without giving away too much, I'm surprised at how many people didn't catch the amount of video game Easter eggs I put in it. Because there's things that I'm sure I should. It's like the whole screen, like took up the whole screen. And when I go on Reddit a week later and people still haven't caught it, it's like kind of surprising to me. But yeah, I'm a big gamer, so if you see video game looking stuff in Invincible, you're like, oh yeah, I know who did that. Like, that's that big nerd dude at the game convention. So, hopefully you guys enjoy season 3 coming out. Shameless self-promotion.
Probably will.
Yes, sir.
I heard that you've also worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. What particular pieces were your favorite to work on for that one?
Oh, I had to make a base called the Lighthouse.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with the lore behind the Lighthouse. I am a Marvel
I know
fan, but
I know
as far
when that one is.
I know it existed in the comics, but you're not posting that online, are you?
Might.
All right. So if this panel gets gimped in terms of awesome info, you know who to blame. But no, I worked on the Lighthouse, and that was pretty much one of the main things I worked on that show, as well as what was it? It was like a Hydra statue for when they had like an alternate reality where Hydra was head of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specific details, but I had to make like a Hydra statue. So yeah.
Yeah, it was right after Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So, hope that answers your question. It wasn't a very interesting answer. Yes, sir.
Now, are you ever surprised, like let's say you work on Mandalorian. So no one knows anything about Mandalorian, but now you have the script, you have storyboards, you have whatever you're working on. When you're like, I don't even know what the show is, but like, can you predict in advance, this show's gonna be a huge hit because they don't even know what they're about to get into?
Oh yeah, it happened with The Mandalorian actually, because I was assigned on season 1. And I remember one of the first shots they gave me, there was Grogu. Didn't have a name yet. It was like not finished, but I was working on that shot. And as soon as I saw the scene, it was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? And then all my coworkers are leaning over to see the screen, like, what is that? And I'm like, they're gonna sell a bazillion of these. Whatever this is, this is gonna be a hit. Like, and sure enough. Right away. And as soon as the show aired, everybody, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda. I was like, yeah, called it. Like, look at that thing. Like, how do you not love that thing? And it's like, then I had people at conventions bringing like Grogu figures for me to sign. I'm like, I didn't make him, but here, I'll sign the plastic part so you can clean it with alcohol later. I don't want to ruin your box. Like, so, I worked on The Walking Dead as well. I was there for when I don't know how many fans are here, but Glenn.
Yeah.
My family, my wife is still a huge fan. I stopped watching the show after I started working on it because everything's spoiled. You know, I know
makes
everything
sense.
that's gonna happen. And I'm like, oh man, like I kind of like the show, but like now I see everything. But the first family reunion after that finale aired, everyone in her family at the reunion was like, so who was it? I'm like, I can't tell you that. I won't tell anyone.
NDAs.
And everyone goes, I won't tell anyone. They tell their best friend, they go, don't tell anyone. Like,
Yeah.
That's how it spreads. You know, so I don't know where I was going with that.
Did you work with Nick Otero while you were there?
Did I what?
Did you work with Nick Otero at all while you were there?
Who is
The
that?
special effects guy?
Oh, no, I'm digital side, so I don't really deal with the practical guys too much. They do sometimes give me stuff, you know, to use as reference, like, hey, you know, we need to make a digital version of this. So like, I had to make like Michonne's sword because on the show she's holding like just the handle.
Right.
There's no blade because you know obviously she's not gonna go slicing through stuntman. Like, all right, we're gonna have 5 of you die today. Sorry. So you know she's slicing digital zombies. So I have to make like sometimes the head like pop off and all that good stuff. And you know I may or may not have kept the sword. But ironically, when I ended up working on Invincible, I don't know if you guys are aware, it's the same creator as The Walking Dead. It's Robert Kirkman. And I ran into him at the office. And I'm like, oh, wait, I have a short sword in my trunk. Hold on just a second. So I got him, he signed it for me, which is
That's
awesome. And he was like, where did you get this? I'm like, you know, places. So, you know, he was very awesome. He signed it for me, and I'm stoked. And then he's Robert Kirkman, you know, and I'm a big geek. And I didn't even make the connection that Walking Dead was his show until like a year after I'd already been working on Invincible, and it just clicked.
Oh my
Like, how did I not like put 2 and 2 together? I worked on both shows, and it's the same creator, and I had no idea because I'm too focused on randomness. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'm being a bad host. You want some questions for me?
5.
I'm just looking for guidance.
One over here.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask what your favorite project to work on was.
My favorite project of all time is still Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, like, there's no, I've said this quote like 100 times already, but there's nothing that can beat the feeling of me as a kid being inspired by Star Wars. I'm wearing a Vader suit. I got Star Wars tattoos, like, but for me being a kid and watching the Death Star blow up and then getting a phone call and being told I'm gonna put it back together is like one of the greatest feelings you could ever get. I'm like, oh, nothing can top this feeling. And then the reviews came out. I'm like, some people didn't like it. But my part was cool. So it got even better because after that, I found out that Disney San Francisco reached out to the Singapore office, you know, because I was in the Singapore office for that, and they, I think they used the assets I made for the movie in Star Tours. So if you go on Star Tours, you go to the Death Star ruins. That's my work. So I'm like, I'm excited now because my daughter's 5 now, and so I'm waiting for her just to be like maybe 6 or 7, so where she can start to remember. And that's gonna be because I haven't gone on the ride yet. I'm still waiting because I want to go on it with her.
There's like 30 different ones you can go on for that one.
Oh,
Each
okay.
one.
I guess we're going 30 times. Like, just so I can be like, Daddy did that. Daddy did that. 'Cause she's already like my hype man, you know, in times that are inappropriate. So, like, there's a teacher at her school that has this classroom decorated like an all Star Wars. She's a huge fan. It's not even my daughter's teacher. They had a PTA thing at school where the parents came. My daughter grabbed me by the arm and like took me to that teacher's classroom. And I'm like thinking like, oh, you're gonna show me your artwork on the wall or something? And she goes, Miss blah blah blah. This is my daddy. He made Star Wars. I didn't make it. She's like, no, she's been telling me. I'm trying to be polite. I'm off work. I just wanted to watch my daughter throw like darts and stuff and get candy. But you know, it's great that people are that passionate about it because I know as a fan I'm passionate about what I work on and I hope it shines through. I've worked on a lot of stuff like just because I like it. Like I worked on the cover art for this awesome game you guys should check out here. You now. It's called Yeah Beavis, by this man right here. There may or may not be some physical copies left for you to grab. No. Nothing.
I appreciate it.
I also worked with this man. I helped him out on his channel, Nintendo on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Yes.
Already done.
Weirdest thing you've been asked to render or digitally render and such.
Oh no.
Good question.
Okay. There are scenes in some movies and TV shows where the actor, actress, whoever you want to be referred to, the performer, the talent, they don't actually get nude. They're actually wearing underwear. So we CG them from here to here.
Fascinating.
So you gotta do like butt jiggle physics. 'Cause I gotta
Butt fizzle jizzle.
butt jiggle physics. 'Cause then you gotta get the muscles to work right. Because you have muscular in there, muscular structure. Anyways, and so these things need to be done. Like for example, it wasn't me, but you guys have seen Watchmen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan is fully CG.
Yeah.
He's nude. Somebody had to make that and rig it so it can animate properly and have the correct physics of skin and flesh. Yeah. So it's always funny as artists because you know who it is because they always turn their desk away from everyone else so you can't see what they're doing because you're like, don't look at my screen, man. Hey, that looks real. Good job. And it's weird because it's like any other piece of art, you have to go in for reviews and get notes like that vein's too big. These are real notes. Like it's too wrinkly.
It's not
like this butt has too many veins or too many. What do you guys?
This butt has too many veins.
Yeah, so that's what we're going with.
Veiny butts are you
There's
All right.
Anyways, am I doing okay for time? I'm doing okay for time, right?
Okay, Yoshi,
Oh my God, it's only been 17 minutes.
Yoshi, I wanted to ask you if you can speak to how did you get your foot in the door in the entertainment industry, like broadly?
Oh, okay. So I was always into it. Obviously, I've been a fan for so long, and I actually went to school for VFX. I got a degree in graphic design. I also got a degree in visual communication and multimedia. I have an unrelated degree because I have an Asian tiger mom that I don't utilize. I have a degree in biochemistry.
Nice.
I did not know that.
Because my mama said I had to. And then I finished and went to art school. You gonna just draw a picture? Like, no, that's not what I do, Mom. There's more to it than that. But I got my start because I was always into art. I was always trying to learn it on my own. Once I was able to pay for it, I joined the military in order to pay for college because Tiger Mom doesn't support this school. Anyways, I go to art school and I had a friend that was already working in entertainment at the time. And I remember specifically the project that got me the job. I was learning how to make, they call it shaders in the 3D world. It's like how to make a material reflect properly, like, oh, this is a mirror, is this just aluminum, is it? So I was learning how to make metals reflect accurately. I was trying to figure it out on my own. And I remember looking and go, oh, I think I figured out how to make brushed aluminum, like the DeLorean in Back to the Future. And then I had my ADHD, hyper focus moment. Was like, I'm gonna make the DeLorean now, like, which is a huge undertaking for a junior artist.
Yeah.
I spent 2 months every day working on every nut and bolt, the cables, and it was my friend who was at work. I was sending him progress pictures because he was experienced. I'm like, hey, so how do I do this part? Getting suggestions. And his art director walked by and said, who did that? And he goes, oh, that's my friend Yoshi. He goes, bring him in, he can start next week. And I came in and they're like, you're working on a movie called Green Lantern. And I'm like, awesome! Starring Ryan Reynolds. Cool, you're the star. This is a hit, sure. Putting all my eggs in this basket. So that was, I have the prop lantern. I have a ring. It's the first movie I worked on.
Awesome.
And so the second movie I worked on was Journey to the Mysterious
I
Island,
love
starring
that movie.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So
Yeah.
so that was my second movie. So after that, it just kind of snowballed. Except for there was a VFX crash at one point where you guys may or may not remember, where there was a bunch of VFX artists protesting the Oscar awards for getting underpaid and all
Vaguely
that.
remember that.
And so I ended up working at Target for a while, and it was so weird seeing like the movies I worked on for sale on the shelf, and I'm in there in like a Target shirt, and like I'm looking at this box, and I remember my coworker go, "Dude, why are you so obsessed with that movie?" I'm like, "I worked on this." Like, but you know, it all worked out because for a while I left Target and I started working for a body kit company, automotive design and all that. So I started designing body kits, and then I started slowly getting my foot back in the door. I ended up working for Mercedes, you know, doing 3D models for car commercials and stuff like that before I got a call to come back and, you know, slowly make my way back in. I think my first, what I would consider my first real project back in was Fallout 4, the live action
Nice.
commercial. You know, like, 'cause I'm a wanderer. You know,
Awesome.
I'm doing the thing. So I worked on that camera. I helped out. You know, it wasn't a full credit for me. It was another team, and I was just assisting. But that was my first like foot back in, and I'm like, I'm back, baby. So yeah, I went from there, snowballed back up, and it's a little fuzzy because I jumped so many studios in that time. But I think after that we went to Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, like a few years after that, I went on Love, Death, and Robots. A lot of stuff in between that is just a blur because it's like I was freelancing, so I was jumping wherever the work took me. So it was like, what's that show? Soul Survivor, and then like a show called Blacklist, or it's a bunch of shows that I don't remember because usually they bring me in for one episode.
Sure.
I'll make whatever it is they need, and they just use it for the show. So I made a digital hospital for a show called, oh my goodness, what is it called? I don't know the show, but I made a hotel for Grand Hotel, starring Ava Longoria, I think is her name, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my goodness, what is this medical show called? Anyways, I made the hospital, and they use the hospital for the whole show, but I get credited for one episode, the pilot.
Damn.
Great.
Like I worked on the Orville.
Oh, nice.
I designed the
Awesome.
vehicle ship thing, and it's like credit one episode. Bye. Like, all right, cool. Fun times. So. Oh, yes. Sorry. Let me go right to left. Yes.
No, but
League of Legends.
Sorry, I came in a few minutes late. Have you talked about League of Legends Odyssey at all? And maybe time?
Oh, so full disclosure, I'm not too familiar with the game itself. I was assigned to work on cinematics for League of Legends Odyssey. So there's a character named Jinx, I guess. And so I designed her cell phone. I did the inside of her ship, her computer. So there's like this whole scene where they're like loading rockets in and all that. So that was my sequence that I did. I wish I had more to say about that.
It's cool.
I was just wondering if you had anything like remembering working with Riot or like that stand out at all. Anyway.
No, I can't say I do. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How has it changed since you first got in? Because, you know, I know that the industry's changed. You mentioned the VFX crash, and I know that there was like SAG-AFTRA drama that happened recently. But also because of COVID, like, a lot of people work from home, right? And
Yes.
a lot of the tools and software you can probably. So, how often do you go into the office versus work from home, and how has your like workflow changed from, say, 10 years ago to now?
Ever since we started work from home, I've done better work personally because, you know, as anybody who's a creative will tell you, you can't control when it happens. You know, it might be like 4 a.m. and you're like, you know, rising from the dead, idea, you know, and it's just like, I gotta get this out now. Like, so it's helped me, but it's also been a situation where it's affected my family life because I accidentally work too much. It's like, my wife's like, you know, you're on 14 hours today. It's like, really? She's like, how can you accidentally work too much? Because my job is awesome. Like, you know, it happens where I have to like limit myself. I have a, I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's called an Asus ROG Ally. It's like the Steam Deck competitor.
Mm-hmm.
And I told myself it would be just for games, but I ended up installing all my work software on it. Because I'm like, what if I'm on a plane and I feel like designing a spaceship? I might feel the need to suddenly do that. and I can use the joystick. It happened on the way here, you know? So you can be happy that part of Invincible the next season is influenced by my trip to SAC Gamers Expo.
There you go.
You know, so
Do you use like traditional tooling like Wacom tablets and a PC setup, or
I do.
Have you ever done anything like on iPad or
I've done pretty much everything. Like, it wasn't ideal, but in, you know, the recent design, I had to use a joystick. You know, like moving the cursor like Mario Paint style.
Oh god.
Awesome.
Oh.
And my left click is like R1 and my right click is R2.
Oh, no.
And so I had to assign keys to the left side. So it's like Control, Alt, Shift. So I'm like playing a game, but I'm like mouse and keyboarding it, basically. And my neck really hurt. I was like, this is not ideal. And so this guy's telling me about his XR glasses, and I'm like, sold, take my money. So, yes. Yes, sir.
When you were working on Destiny, did you use any references from Halo by any chance?
I didn't, because the designs were already solidified by the team. So because I worked on cinematics, the game artwork is already established. So I just had to basically make the cinematic or movie versions of the game assets. You know, same thing. I would get the low poly or like upscale it. Like, although for me, I was like, is there not a high poly version available? Like, did they just make it low poly? Because I don't know. The way I work is I work high. You know, I make a high poly and then I kind of whittle it down. But what do I know? Speaking of, this is going to be a random tangent, but I was just talking to you about this. I have so much respect for the artists at Rareware. I worked on a mockumentary called Going for Goldeneye, and they wanted to. Originally, they asked me if I could do anime style stuff, and I'm like, I can. You want like the cartoon sequence? Yeah, for our flashback sequence, we want anime. And honestly, I can do it, but for me, it takes way longer, it's way harder, and I don't want to do it. So I pitched to them, like, what if we just do it in GoldenEye graphics, all your flashback scenes? And he's like, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. You're doing a GoldenEye documentary. So in order to do that, I actually got the like GoldenEye ROM, and I like basically tried to figure it out. I couldn't open everything. It's hard, man. Props to you coding guys. Like, I have no idea what I'm looking at in there. I had to get so much online Google help. But I was able to pull some of the character models from the game and open them up and look at them. And they had no idea what they were doing. The fact that it worked at all was amazing. Yeah. So, for anybody who knows how UV layouts work, if you look at games now, you look at the texture sheets, like the face is flattened out, right? There's like, it's laid out in a way that it works for the 3D model. That's not how they did it in GoldenEye. It's literally like a screenshot from the movie, and the UVs are laid out over the picture. They're like, maybe we'll move this. I'm like, this is so ridiculous that you did this way. It's like you just told me you built a Statue of Liberty with macaronis. This is ridiculous. So that's a random tangent I just want to go on. I was like looking at these old artists, and like if they ever had Rareware artists in here, oh my god, I would geek out. Like, what? Wait, really?
I'm saying the tools available at the time. Like,
it's also because I don't know if you know the history of the GoldenEye game, but that was basically their B team. That was like their junior artists that had no experience in games, and the only reason they pulled all this off was the same reason that I guess I was able to do well in the beginning. It's like, nobody told me I was supposed to not be able to do this. You know, you just do it. If you fail, oh well, get up and do it again. It's like that Sylvester Stallone, like Rocky quote, right? Doesn't matter how hard you get hit, you know, get back up. Or I'm misquoting it, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
You don't stay down is the point. But yeah, it was one of those things where just watching how they did it. This is amazing. You guys were the B team, and you killed it. You killed the A team. You know, nobody even remembers what else was supposed to go. What was the other game that the A team was on at the time? Do you know? I think so, right? Yeah. Well, no, that's a hit too. Yeah, that's pretty good. So anyways, all of them are awesome. But yeah, they like the multiplayer was added last minute. It's all of that stuff is amazing to me, and that to me is like what I don't want to speak to everybody, but a lot of the younger artists I meet, they're missing that like spark. That like, it's more like, oh, I just want to be an artist and work on this. It's not I want to create. I want to see my visions come to life. Like, I want to figure out everything I need to figure out in order to accomplish this goal. And that is one of the main reasons I became a generalist and learned all the different aspects of art. Is because, like, I am a big gamer. And the example I like to use is I didn't learn all this stuff because I wanted to learn all this stuff. I learned all this stuff because I had an end goal in mind, and I needed to learn all that stuff in order to do it. Kind of like an RPG. It's like, dude, I just want that item. Why is it so complicated? Like, I gotta go do this mission and get this thing from this dude, and then I gotta learn how to read this language from this other mission, and then get this armor, and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of how I started looking at it, was, oh, okay, if I want to make my own movie, I gotta do this, this, and this. And, oh, okay, so I gotta learn how to do rendering. Okay, now I gotta learn how to rig a character because I can't just animate it. And it's, I'm sure, the same approach that Nintendo has for his game. Like, okay.
I was gonna say, I relate to that a lot with like learning, just wearing many hats, like trying to get a.
Oh, it's amazing that you can do that. Well, I didn't really have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, the example, another analogy I can give is if you're a picky eater, you usually can cook well for yourself. Because you're like, I know what I like, and they don't do it right, so I'm gonna figure all this out and do it myself. And I highly recommend that approach to everything in life. Yeah, everything. Well, I was saying, there might be bad examples there. Maybe dating is a bad way to do that. Like, I'm gonna do everything, figure out what works.
That's how people do it nowadays.
Yeah,
Pretty
so,
much, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you said you have a tiger mom. Does she get it now that you've done all these great projects like Star Wars and stuff?
No, my sister's a doctor.
She gets all the credit, or
Yeah.
all the attention, or?
Pretty much. It's crazy because, like, my sister, every time we hang out, she goes, I hate my job. I'm like, you know, she's like, yes, during COVID, everyone was coughing in my face. I'm like, yeah, I can see how that would happen. I work from home.
On spaceships.
Yeah, and like, my mom, she kind of gets it now. Ever since I took her to a premiere event, like, that kind of impressed her, because she was like, how much is a ticket here? I'm like, you can't buy this ticket. And she's like, oh, that's impressive, finally. This is gonna last about 2 days. Like, and then afterwards, you know, your sister's a doctor. Like, I know.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Did you dabble in your first degree before you decided you wanted to do this now?
I did not. I knew exactly what I was going to do from the beginning. I was like, this is a throwaway quest.
What do you mean by beginning?
When I was pursuing the career that my mom wanted me to pursue,
Okay.
and pursuing that degree, it was like, nah, this is the tutorial level. I just gotta get through it.
Like at what point did you decide movies? Was it like that was the...
When I saw Jurassic Park,
Okay.
I wore that VHS tape out. Like, it was. I still have it at home. I still have it sitting on my shelf. I like wrapped it up in plastic and like it's sitting on my shelf.
That's awesome.
That and of course Star Wars.
Sure.
You know, Star Wars I actually saw later, and it was thanks to my dad. And it was through Muppet Babies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was watching Muppet Babies. You know, like Muppet Baby, and they have the intro sequence.
I used to have the PC
TIE
game.
fighters are going. I'm like, Dad, what is that? Oh, that's Star Wars. We can go to the video store and rent it. So we go to the video store that's inside the grocery store, because, you know, that used to be a thing.
I remember that.
You know what's up? So, some young people.
I didn't have that in Kentucky. I don't remember that.
That's because you're a baby. So, you know, we rented Star Wars. And right away, like, blown away. How did they do this? Oh my God. And then sure enough, later the special editions came out, and they had all the special features on the behind the scenes of how they did it. And I learned about industrial light and magic and all that. And I'm like, so it took a lot, you know, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, he's like, I've been rejected by them like 100 times, to the point where like I'm sitting in my room crying, listening to like emo music or something, you know, like just like, it's terrible, I suck, you know. And I just told this to you, I think, but I remember I was listening to this song. I don't even remember who sang it. It's a popular song. I was like, I tried so hard. Yeah, no. I'm sitting there crying I worked really hard on my demo reel. It didn't even matter. Like, I worked so hard. Yeah, so I didn't get over myself. You know, just like, all right, keep pushing forward, to the point where when I finally got the phone call it caught me off guard because I was already expecting a no. You know, finally like, we're gonna bring you in to build the Death Star. It's like, you're lying, right? You guys are lying. That's not real. This is not happening right now. So, follow your dreams, never give up.
Did you ever meet or interact with George Lucas while you were there?
There's a funny story with that. I did not directly. I heard stories back in the day that he used to, for everybody that had a baby during production, he would send them a handwritten card, right? And you'd have a production baby, and they'd put the baby's name in the credits. So when I joined the team, he wasn't in charge anymore, right? He'd already sold the company to Disney. My wife was pregnant at the time, and she was gonna give birth while I was working on episode 9. And I was like, I'm not gonna go. Like, I can't leave you. She's like, no, this is your dream. You have to. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be in Singapore. So thankfully, her doctor was like, oh, we can find the date and we can induce. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, we usually do this for military, and we know you were former military, so we kind of treat this the same. You can fly home for the baby's birth. And I'm like, oh, awesome. So, you know, during the interview process, I'm like, I need 1 week off, you know, no negotiations. I have to go home. So I went home, I came back, there was a package on my desk with like baby clothes that said like Lucasfilm and like Little Jedi and all that stuff, and there was a handwritten card in there, and I was like, and I opened, and at the bottom, I couldn't really read the signature, but it was like L-U something, and I was like, oh my God, and I got so excited, and I showed all my coworkers, until finally one of them was like, dude, I think that's Lucas that signed it, like, Lucas is his first name, he's the manager for the building. I'm like, oh. You're like, you're gonna throw away the card now? I mean, I'm not gonna throw it away, but it's kind of worthless now.
Screw you, Lucas.
Yeah, right? This sucks.
Way to get my hopes up.
Got my hopes up for nothing. And to cheer myself up, I worked on the side, I worked on an Earthworm Jim project. That was,
Ooh.
I worked with, I don't remember his name now. Whatever. He was, the guy that created Earthworm Jim, I can't remember his name. Doug Tenable, there we go.
Yeah.
Because we would follow each other on social media, and he was a big Mandalorian fan. And I remember he asked me to help design a tattoo for him, an Earthworm Jim tattoo. So I did that for him, and I sent it to him. He released a video, like, did you guys know that Earthworm Jim is connected to the Mandalorian? I'm like, what? He goes, so this artist here also worked on the Mandalorian, and he worked on Earthworm Jim. I'm like, that's kind of a stretch. They're connected, but I get where you're going. I'll take it. So, yeah, there's an Earthworm Jim box set out there. Was he waving at me? I don't know. I'll wave back. That's really cool. I did work for. Yes, ma'am.
So I know that you mentioned earlier that you didn't really like working on zombies, and you kind of went through this motion of like getting into different things. But if you could choose your ultimate, even better than doing the Death Star, what would be like that dread? Like, I really want to do this.
It's hard. Like,
Yeah.
after the Death Star, it's kind of it. Like Jurassic Park, I would say, but it's kind of gone on to the Jurassic World thing now with like a lot of Chris Pratt stuff going on, which is fine if you like Chris Pratt. I mean, I don't hate him or anything. It's just, I mean, he's everywhere now. So.
He just he's like he did what Michael Bay did in Transformers and Ninja Turtles.
You know what the sad part is? I didn't mind the Ninja Turtles, the second one, because watching it, I'm like, my 10-year-old self would have loved this. There's Bebop and Rock. There's freaking Bebop's here. He's here in this building. Like, yeah, like this is Bebop and Rocksteady because, you know, it's not Toka. Was it Toka and Razor or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, as little kids, I was like, no, I'll call him Bebop and Rocksteady. Whatever. So, yeah, for me, I would have loved it. But, yeah, it's. I totally lost. See, I got all excited about Ninja Turtles and lost my train of thought. Oh, Dream Project. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, Terminator would be my dream project. I love Terminator and or Aliens/Predator because I was trying to hit all the things I love, like Star Wars, Star Trek, you know, Call of Duty. I've hit like Marvel. I've hit all the things except RoboCop/Terminator, Alien/Predator. I count those two kind of in the same. If I get one of them.
You need to get you in Ready Player 2 then, because like they're gonna hit it. Like,
Oh, there you
Ready
go.
Player 1 hit everything.
Yeah, I almost worked on Ready Player One, and I didn't.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, one of my friends did, and he worked on the the hotel sequence, the what is it, the Shining sequence.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And
That's cool.
Apparently, he threw a bunch of Easter eggs in that too, but I don't think you'd even notice because the whole movie's a giant egg fest. So. Yeah, he like I think he put Ugly Sonic in the background or something. I don't know, but I would have loved to work on that. My daughter's name is Artemis, so just to give you an idea of like, you know, some of my friends were like, you know, that movie's not a really good movie. All it is a giant nostalgia fest, and I'm like,
That was
fine.
the point.
Pour it on. Give me the nostalgia fest. I don't care. It makes me happy. Go away. Yeah. You know, so like what you like. I don't care. Yes, sir.
Have you ever declined a project?
I have scheduling conflicts, but I have declined a project that I kind of regret. Is it X-Men '97?
Ah,
Or is it '98?
It's 97.
Yeah.
Because if I was still single or didn't have kids, I would have done it. Because there's a lot of artists that work 2 gigs at a time. You know, but that means you're doing 16-hour days. If you can suck it up, you're gonna be making bank, you know, for however long the contract is. But I'm like 42, I can't do that anymore. You know, it's like, I can't even play video games the way I want anymore. It's like, finally! You know, it's gotten to the point now where I have like one of those gooseneck phone holders over my bed, and I like hook up my phone and use like Game Pass Cloud gaming so I can play on my bed in case I fall asleep. And of course I got in trouble with that too because I didn't realize like I have earbuds in. My wife's like, all night it's click 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 click. I'm like this guy has a lot of health. you gotta whittle him down. Chip damage. Yes, so I had to decline that just because there's no way I could have done it. And a few of the guys, you know, that I knew ended up working on it, and everybody loves it. It's awesome. And I watched
It is
like,
really good.
I should have sucked it up and tortured myself for 6 months. But no, it's okay. I had to tell myself at that point that I was just getting greedy. You know, like, look, Yoshi, you've worked on a lot of stuff. Like, slow your roll.
What was your main project at that time?
I'm still on. I was on Invincible. Yeah.
Do you have like a future project that you want to work on that is like of your own creation, your own mind that you want to bring to like mass media?
Yes. I would like it to be licensed if I could. I would love to make a Gallagher movie.
Oh,
You know,
That would be
I have so many
fun.
plans in my head for
Starship
that.
Troopers, Galaga, or
More space battles because you know they're not really on the ground.
yeah.
So I would love to do a Gallagher movie. You know, really realistic, gritty. The visual aspect that I would love to have it look like is, if you guys have ever seen on Netflix, I think it's called Space Sweepers, like that kind of aesthetic, or the Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game. Like that's the kind of aesthetic I would kind of want for it. But that's expensive to do. And, you know, I can technically do everything myself, but I would like to start small and just maybe do like, you know, like the Deadpool thing.
Yeah.
Get like a trailer and maybe get some interest, but we'll see. That's one of those like dream. I chip away at it on my own time slowly. Like I'm building the ships digitally, and I had to go out and find. They actually released official like 3D model ships that you can buy. They're like little kits. They were not cheap. They're like this big. You're like, you know, order from Japan this ship for like $160 for one. And I'm like, damn it. All right. So I got those ships, so I could use as reference because I want them to be as accurate as possible. Is that my time? Is that my cue?
You are.
Awesome. I made it to the end.